So this school janitor had a terrifying late-night shift on Halloween night that haunted him ever since. The night started off like usual, but everything changed when it was time to clean the chalkboards. The square-shaped building was over a century old with big, echoey corridors and a center courtyard. But as the janitor prepared his bucket and sponge for the first chalkboard, he noticed something strange written on it. "It ends at midnight," was scribbled hastily on the board, but the words themselves weren't what frightened the janitor most. Instead, it was the way the chalk dragged across the board. As disturbing as this was, the janitor had a job to do. So he washed the board and moved on to the next classroom. But his heart nearly stopped when he saw the second chalkboard. "It ends at midnight" was scratched on this board too, even more aggressively than the first. Suddenly, the pounding pitter-patter of footsteps echoed through the halls. "Who's there?" the janitor shrieked, shining his flashlight down the long, dark corridor. But it was empty. At this point, the janitor had had enough, so he quickly scurried back the way he came, rushing for the exit. But as he passed the first classroom, something caught his eye. Those same words, "It ends at midnight," were scratched back onto the first chalkboard he washed. The janitor dropped his bucket and sponge right then and there, spilling water everywhere as he bolted even faster toward the exit. But in the frenzy, he made a grave mistake. He had exited into the center courtyard. There, at his feet, laid a jack-o'-lantern. Inside it, a burning candle. And tucked into the top, a note beside a lone piece of chalk. The janitor's fingers trembled as he lifted the note. It read, "You can try to run, but you'll find it hard. For all escapes lead to this courtyard. So take this chalk and write real fast, or this very night will be your last. From room to room, you must etch this phrase, 'It ends at midnight,' to escape my maze." Just then, a bone-chilling breeze blew out the jack-o'-lantern's light. The janitor checked his watch, a quarter till midnight. With the chalk in hand, he sprinted from classroom to classroom, writing the phrase, "It ends at midnight," as fast as he could. And on the 23rd classroom, the very last one, he scratched vigorously. He checked his watch. Something seemed off. It still read a quarter till midnight. His eyes grew wide. Surely it must be broken. But before he could think it through, another pounding pair of footsteps pattered down the hall. The janitor's heart raced as they grew louder and louder. Without a second thought, he ran out the classroom door and bounded for the closest exit, one he was sure led to the street. But once again, he stumbled into the courtyard where another lit jack-o'-lantern awaited him. Beside it, a bucket and sponge, and another note. It read, "You're in a loop where time stands still. It's you times two with different wills. For what you've written you must erase, but do not spill, for haste makes waste." And so the janitor took off, wiping down every chalkboard. But when he reached the 23rd room, his watch still hadn't moved. A quarter till midnight. Again, the footsteps grew louder, even closer than both times before. He bolted to the first room he erased. There, the words had been rewritten. But this time, he had a crazy idea. Instead of trying to escape the building, he proceeded from classroom to classroom in the exact opposite direction as he had gone both times before. Sure enough, he reached freshly washed chalkboards without any words. On each, he wrote, "It ends at midnight," proceeding swiftly from room to room. Yet again, the footsteps grew louder and louder until the moment when he exited the very last classroom. There, exiting the classroom beside him, stood his very own silhouette. But he only got a brief glance at it when light beamed through the corridors. As it did, the janitor collapsed on the ground, slipping into a deep sleep. With a loud gasp, he jolted himself awake, surprised to find himself laying in his own bed at home. He snapped up his wrist to get a look at his watch. It read midnight. As he caught his breath, he couldn't help but smile, for it had been nothing more than a nightmare all along. And so, he rolled back over and nestled his hands beneath the pillow. But there, he was surprised to feel his knuckle clack against a cold, hard object. His heart sank as he drew it out from beneath the pillow, for in his hand, glowing under the stark moonlight, was a lone piece of chalk. "Happy Halloween."